The rain-slicked highway stretched endlessly before me as I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles whitening against the worn leather. It was supposed to be a simple weekend escape, me, my best friend Miles, and his family's secluded cabin in the Adirondacks, far from the chaos of New York City. But as I pulled up to the gravel driveway and saw a lone figure standing on the porch, silhouetted against the fading twilight, a chill unrelated to the autumn air crept down my spine. It wasn't Miles waiting for me, but his father, David, with a knowing smile that made my heart skip a beat. I stepped out of the car, the crunch of leaves underfoot echoing in the quiet woods. "Ethan, glad you made it," David said, his voice deep and steady, like the rumble of distant thunder. He was in his mid-40s, broad-shouldered from years of manual labor as a contractor, with salt and pepper hair and eyes that seemed to pierce right through you. Miles had mentioned his dad might stop by to check on things, but I hadn't expected him to be here alone. "Miles got held up at work, some emergency project. He'll be here tomorrow. Come on in. I've got dinner going." As I followed him inside, the cabin's warmth enveloped me like an old blanket. The place was rustic yet inviting. Wooden beams overhead, a stone fireplace crackling with fresh logs, and the scent of pine mingling with something savory from the kitchen. David handed me a beer, our fingers brushing just long enough to send an unexpected jolt through me. I'd known him for years, ever since Miles and I met in college, but tonight felt different. Maybe it was the isolation, or the way his gaze lingered as we talked about mundane things. My job as a graphic designer, his recent divorce from Miles's mom. "Life throws curveballs," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Sometimes you swing and miss, other times you hit it out of the park." We ate by the fire, the conversation flowing easier than I anticipated. David shared stories from his youth, growing up in a small town where expectations weighed heavy. Marry young, start a family, fit the mold. "I did all that," he admitted, staring into the flames. "But it never felt quite right, like I was playing a role in someone else's script." I nodded, feeling a kinship I couldn't quite place. My own coming out in college had been rocky. My conservative parents still tiptoed around it, pretending it was a phase. As the night wore on, the beer loosened our tongues, and I found myself opening up about the loneliness of city life, the string of failed dates with guys who never stuck around. David listened intently, his presence commanding yet gentle. When he stood to refill our drinks, I noticed the way his flannel shirt hugged his frame, the subtle strength in his movements. A flush crept up my neck. What was I thinking? He was Miles's dad, for God's sake. But as he sat back down, closer this time, our knees almost touching, he asked, "What are you looking for, Ethan? In life, in love?" The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. I mumbled something about connection, real and unfiltered, but my mind raced. The cabin suddenly felt smaller, the fire's heat mirroring the confusion building inside me. The next morning, I woke to the sound of birds and the aroma of coffee. David was already up, chopping wood outside. I watched from the window, mesmerized by the rhythmic swing of the axe, the sweat glistening on his skin despite the cool air. Shaking off the thoughts, I joined him, offering to help. "You sure? City boy like you might splinter a finger," he teased, but handed me a smaller axe anyway. We worked side by side, the physical labor a welcome distraction. Yet, every accidental brush of arms, every shared laugh, chipped away at the walls I'd built. Miles arrived that afternoon, his SUV kicking up dust as he pulled in. "Sorry I'm late, man. Traffic was a nightmare." He hugged me, oblivious to the tension I felt coiling in my gut. The three of us spent the evening hiking nearby trails, the conversation light and familiar. But I caught David's eyes on me more than once, a silent question in them that made my pulse quicken. That night, as Miles snored in the loft, David and I sat on the porch under a blanket of stars. "You seem different this weekend," he whispered. "More alive." I swallowed hard, the words escaping before I could stop them. Maybe it's the company. The admission hung between us, electric and terrifying. David reached out, his hand covering mine in a gesture that was both comforting and charged. "Ethan, But he trailed off, pulling back as if burned. The moment shattered, leaving me breathless and confused. What was happening? This was wrong on so many levels. Age difference, friendship boundaries, societal norms screaming no. Yet, in that instant, it felt achingly right. As the weekend progressed, the undercurrent grew stronger. Miles planned a fishing trip for Sunday, but a sudden storm kept us indoors. We played cards, the laughter forced on my part as I navigated the minefield of emotions. David excused himself early, claiming fatigue, but I saw the conflict in his eyes. Alone with Miles, I tried to act normal, but he noticed. "You okay, dude? You seem off." I brushed it off, blaming the weather, but inside, turmoil raged. How could I explain the pull toward his father, the man who'd raised him? That night, unable to sleep, I wandered downstairs. David was by the fire nursing a whiskey. "Can't sleep either?" he asked softly. We talked for hours, delving deeper. His regrets over a loveless marriage, my fears of never finding acceptance. The vulnerability was intoxicating. When our hands touched again, neither pulled away. It was just a touch, innocent yet profound, but it ignited something irreversible. The storm raged outside, rain pelting the cabin's roof like angry fists, mirroring the storm brewing within me. David and I sat in silence after that touch, the fire's glow casting long shadows across the room. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "This can't happen, Ethan. Miles. He's my son, your best friend. What would he think?" The words stung, a harsh reminder of the lines we were dangerously close to crossing. Yet, as I looked into his eyes, filled with the same longing I felt, denial seemed impossible. Morning brought a fragile calm. The rain had stopped, leaving the world washed clean. Miles was eager to salvage the day with a hike, and we obliged, trudging through mud-slick paths. I lagged behind, my mind replaying the previous night. David walked ahead with Miles, their easy banter a painful contrast to the secret weighing on me. At a scenic overlook, Miles snapped photos, oblivious. "This is what life's about, right? Good friends, nature." His words twisted like a knife. If only he knew. Back at the cabin, tensions simmered. David avoided my gaze during lunch, his usual warmth replaced by curt politeness. It hurt more than I expected. As Miles napped, I confronted him in the kitchen. "We need to talk," I said, my heart pounding. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "There's nothing to talk about." It was a moment, nothing more. But his eyes betrayed him, flickering with regret and desire. "You're young, Ethan. You have your whole life ahead. I'm just an old man with baggage." The age gap, 20 years, loomed large, a societal taboo that screamed impropriety. In a world quick to judge same-sex relationships, adding generational differences was fuel to the fire. I thought of my parents, their barely veiled disapproval of my orientation. What would they say if they knew? I wondered aloud. David chuckled bitterly. Mine disowned me when I came out after the divorce. Said I was confusing midlife crisis with perversion. His vulnerability cracked my resolve. I stepped closer, our foreheads almost touching. Age is just a number. What matters is how we feel. But reality intruded. Miles woke, suggesting a bonfire. As we gathered around the flames that evening, stories flowed. College antics, future dreams. David shared less, his smiles forced. When Miles mentioned his parents' split, blaming his mom's infidelity, David flinched. "It wasn't just her," he admitted quietly. "I wasn't honest about who I am." Miles paused, then nodded supportively. "I know, Dad, and I'm proud of you for coming out." The moment was tender, but it underscored the betrayal if anything developed between us. That night, sleep evaded me again. I heard David pacing downstairs. Joining him, we sat on the couch, the distance between us charged. "Tell me to stop," he murmured, his hand inching toward mine. I didn't. Instead, I leaned in, our lips meeting in a kiss that was soft, tentative. then deepening with years of pent-up emotion. It was wrong, exhilarating, a collision of worlds. We pulled apart, breathless, the gravity sinking in. The next day, departure loomed. Miles hugged me goodbye, promising to visit soon. David shook my hand formally, but his grip lingered, a silent promise or plea. Driving away, the cabin shrank in the rear view, but the turmoil grew. Back in the city, days blurred into routine, but thoughts of David consumed me. We texted sparingly at first, innocuous messages evolving into late-night confessions. "I can't stop thinking about you," he wrote one night. My reply, "Me neither." Weeks passed, the secret festering. Miles noticed my distraction during our hangouts. "You met someone?" he probed. I dodged, guilt gnawing. When David visited the city for work, we met clandestinely. A coffee shop, then a walk in Central Park. The connection was undeniable, conversations flowing from laughter to deep introspection. But shadows lurked, whispers of judgment, fears of discovery. One evening, over dinner at a quiet bistro, David opened up about his past. I suppressed it for so long, married young to fit in. Small-town America doesn't take kindly to differences. I shared my own struggles, bullying in high school, the isolation of being the only gay kid in my suburb. Our shared pain bonded us, but it also highlighted the risks. "What if Miles finds out?" I asked. David sighed. "He'd be devastated, betrayed by both of us." The conflict escalated when Miles invited me to a family barbecue. David would be there, his ex-wife too. The tension was palpable as I arrived, greetings strained. Throughout the afternoon, stolen glances fueled the fire. When Miles's mom pulled me aside, her intuition sharp, "You seem close to David lately." I stammered a denial, but doubt lingered in her eyes. That night, David and I argued in hushed tones on the patio. "This is tearing me apart," he said. "We have to end it." But as tears welled, we embraced, the pull too strong. The decision hung unresolved, a ticking bomb. Months into our secret affair, the weight of deception grew unbearable. David and I met whenever possible. Stolen weekends, discreet dinners, but each encounter amplified the guilt. Miles remained clueless, our friendship strained by my evasions. "You're distant, man," he said over beers one night. "Everything okay?" I lied, claiming work stress, but his skeptical look haunted me. Society's judgments loomed larger. In progressive New York, same-sex couples were common, but our age difference drew stares. At a gallery opening, David invited me to. Whispers followed us. "Sugar daddy?" someone murmured. David bristled, his hand tightening on mine. Later, he confessed, "I hate hiding, but coming out again with you would shatter everything." His words echoed my fears. Losing Miles, facing familial rejection anew. The first major conflict erupted when David's sister visited. Overheard snippets of our phone call led to confrontation. "You're seeing someone half your age? A man? Have you lost your mind?" she spat. David defended us, but the hurt in his voice during our next call was raw. "She's right about one thing, it's complicated." I pushed back. Love isn't supposed to be easy, but doubts crept in. Was this love, or infatuation born of loneliness? Miles's promotion party became the tipping point. Surrounded by friends and family, David and I navigated carefully. But alcohol loosened inhibitions. A lingering touch in the kitchen sparked suspicion. Miles's girlfriend, perceptive as ever, cornered me. "What's going on with you and David?" Panic surged. I denied, but she wasn't convinced. That night, Miles confronted his father. "Is there something I should know?" David deflected, but the seed was planted. The fallout was swift. Miles called me the next day, voice laced with betrayal. "My girlfriend thinks you're involved with my dad. Tell me it's not true." Silence damned me. "How could you?" he shouted. "You're my best friend. And him, my own father." The call ended in tears, our bond fractured. David and I met in a park, the air thick with regret. "We have to tell him everything," I insisted. He nodded, weary. The confrontation at Miles's apartment was brutal. How long? Miles demanded. Months, David admitted. Miles's face crumpled. You both lied to me. This isn't just weird, it's wrong. Dad, you're old enough to be his father. The age argument stung, societal norms weaponized against us. Miles's reaction ignited a firestorm. He distanced himself, refusing calls. Friends took sides. Some supported us, citing love's unpredictability. Others condemned the inappropriateness. My parents, upon hearing, were horrified. This is a midlife crisis for him, and a mistake for you, my mom said. Think about your future. Their words echoed broader debates. Was our relationship predatory? Consensual adults, yes, but the power imbalance. David's experience versus my youth sparked controversy. We sought solace in each other, but cracks formed. David questioned if we were worth the pain. Miles may never forgive us. I clung to hope, but isolation gnawed. Attending a LGBTQ support group, we heard similar stories, age gap couples facing ostracism. One man shared, "Society accepts us barely. Add differences and we're villains." It validated our struggle but offered no solutions. A turning point came at a family wedding. Miles attended, we did not, uninvited. Photos on social media showed his forced smile, a reminder of the rift. David broke down that night. I can't lose my son. Our argument escalated. Are you choosing him over us? I accused. It's not that simple, he replied. The night ended in silence, the first chasm in our bond. Yet, love persisted. We recommitted, vowing to rebuild. Slow outreach to Miles began. Letters, messages expressing remorse. His responses were curt, but a crack appeared. I need time. Hope flickered, but challenges mounted. David's ex-wife, furious, threatened legal nonsense over influence. Friends gossiped, labeling us taboo. Through it all, emotions swirled. Love's joy clashing with pain's depth. Choices defined us. Persist or surrender. As winter approached, mirroring our chill, a decision loomed. The holidays amplified our isolation. Thanksgiving passed in separate solitude. Me with reluctant family. David alone after Miles declined his invite. Christmas loomed, a test of resilience. We spent it together in a rented cabin, reminiscent of our beginning, but shadows lingered. Remember that first weekend? David mused by the fire. Innocent then. Now complexity defined us. Miles's silence persisted, but a breakthrough came via text. We need to talk. The meeting at a neutral cafe was tense. Why him? Miles asked me. Of all people. I explained the connection, the unexpected depth. To David, you're supposed to protect, not this. David teared up. I love him, son. And I love you. I never meant to hurt. Miles listened, anger softening to hurt. It's not just the gay thing, I've accepted that. It's the betrayal, the secrecy. We apologized profusely, promising transparency. Progress was slow. Miles agreed to occasional dinners, guarded but present. Society's lens remained harsh. Online forums debated similar relationships, some empathetic, others vitriolic. Predatory older man preys on young friend, one post read. It stung, ignoring our mutual consent and affection. We countered with advocacy, joining panels on LGBTQ age gap dynamics, sharing our story to foster understanding. Personal growth emerged from chaos. I confronted my parents, demanding acceptance. This is who I am, who I love. Their reluctant nod was a victory. David reconciled with his sister, her initial shock yielding to support. If you're happy, she conceded. But not all resolved smoothly. A work colleague of mine, upon learning, distanced himself, citing moral concerns. It highlighted ongoing prejudice, even in liberal circles. David faced similar at his job site, whispers affecting contracts. Is it worth it? He asked one night, doubt creeping. I affirmed, yes, because it's real. High drama peaked when Miles's girlfriend proposed an intervention. This isn't healthy, she argued during a heated call. Miles defended us tentatively. They're adults. The shift was monumental, his loyalty torn but evolving. As spring bloomed, so did tentative healing. A group hike, me, David, Miles, echoed our first weekend. Conversations flowed, laughter genuine at times. Yet undercurrents remained. Miles confided in me privately. It's hard seeing you two together, like rewriting family. I empathized, our friendship mending thread by thread. David and I deepened our bond, discussing future, cohabitation, perhaps marriage. But realism tempered dreams. Societal hurdles persisted. A pride parade attendance tested us. Cheers mixed with jeers. Our clasped hands a statement. Love wins, banners proclaimed, but wins came hard-fought. A pivotal choice arose when David received a job offer in California. A fresh start, he said, but it meant leaving Miles behind. Go if you must, Miles said, surprising us. But visit. The decision weighed heavy. Uproot for us, or stay for family? We chose compromise, a trial move with frequent returns. Packing boxes, emotions surged. Excitement mingled with fear. Miles helped, a silent olive branch. At the airport, he hugged us both. Be happy, he whispered. Tears flowed, a cathartic release. Settling in San Francisco, the city's openness embraced us. New friends, less judgment. But distance strained Miles's fragile acceptance. Video calls bridged gaps, but nostalgia tugged. Reflecting, our journey was a tapestry of choices. Defy norms or conform. Love triumphed, but at cost. As we built our life, questions lingered. Was the pain justified? Life in San Francisco brought a semblance of normalcy. The fog-shrouded hills a metaphor for our hazy path forward. David thrived in his new role, his confidence blooming away from old judgments. I freelanced, my designs infused with newfound passion. Weekends explored the city. Golden Gate walks, Castro District vibrancy. Our hands intertwined without fear. Yet, echoes of the past persisted. Miles's visits were infrequent, his smiles genuine but reserved. One evening, over wine on our balcony, David proposed. Marry me, Ethan. Let's make it official. The ring, simple gold, symbolized commitment amid chaos. Tears welled as I accepted, but joy tempered by absence, Miles's. We called him immediately. That's big, he said, voice steady. Congrats, I guess. Progress, but not full embrace. Wedding planning ignited fresh conflicts. Invites to family sparked debates. My parents attended reluctantly, his sister enthusiastically. Miles hesitated. It's weird, Dad marrying my best friend. The words cut deep, a reminder of unconventional roots. We respected his pace, opting for intimate ceremony overlooking the bay. The day arrived, vows exchanged under sunny skies. In you I found my truth, David said. Mine. You taught me love defies boundaries. Miles stood as witness, his presence a hard-won gift. At the reception, he toasted, to choices that challenge us. May yours bring happiness. Applause followed, but his eyes held lingering sorrow. Post-wedding, life stabilized. Miles visited more, our dynamic shifting, less friends, more family. Conversations delved into ethics. Was it right, starting in secrecy? He asked. We admitted faults, fostering dialogue. Broader society mirrored this. Media stories on age gap LGBTQ couples sparked debates, our anonymity preserving peace. Yet challenges endured. A health scare, David's minor heart issue, highlighted vulnerabilities. I'm older, he joked, but fear underscored reality. It prompted deeper choices. Adoption dreams clashed with age concerns, societal biases against gay parents amplified. Years passed, our bond enduring. Miles married his girlfriend, us at the altar. Full circle, he quipped. Grandchildren prospects warmed, but our story's controversies lingered in quiet moments. Reflecting on that fateful weekend, paths diverged by choices. Love prevailed, but at what price? Friendships mended, families adapted, society evolved slowly. In the end, Was it morally right for a man to pursue a romantic relationship with his son's best friend, despite the age difference and potential for heartbreak?